Hi there, it's Emma, and welcome back to Sax Bites, the podcast that makes you a better saxophone player in just 5 minutes. In today's episode, we are talking about the 10-second diagnosis. This is something that I work on with my students quite a bit, and I'm talking from day one, from very young students. I am teaching them how to diagnose problems in their playing when they're in the practice room. Because let's face it, as a teacher, I've only got them there for a very short amount of time each week. 30 minutes, 45, maybe an hour if I'm lucky with the more advanced kids. So I want to make sure that my students who are spending the majority of their time playing away from me have the ability to listen to themselves, find where the problems are, and I've given them strategies to address those problems. It helps them see much more progress much faster. And it's a really, really important skill to work on with your teacher. How do you actually diagnose what's going on when you're in the practice room, not waiting a whole nother week to your lesson? So when I'm teaching students about diagnosing problems in their own playing, I often relate it back to one of 4 key areas. If you encounter a different problem, maybe you keep messing up the rhythm in that bar, or you always play a wrong note at this spot, you play a B flat instead of a B natural, or you just can't seem to get that note in tune no matter what you do. All of these different problems can generally be characterized back to one of 4 key diagnoses. Diagnoses? I think that one sounds right. I'm not sure. Maybe someone can correct me. So one of 4 key things, that's what I'm going to call it. And those are, number 1, air. Everything air related. Number 2, embouchure. Everything to do with the muscles of your face, your tongue position, your throat position. Number 3, posture. And posture does include every other part of your body that isn't embouchure. So a lot of people might think posture is just sitting up straight. I'm talking about it as every other part of your body that isn't your face. And lucky last is music reading skills. So your comprehension of reading. That one actually has nothing to do with the saxophone specifically, but it's an important one. So when students are encountering those problems, I want them to relate it back to one of those 4 areas, because each different area is going to have a different strategy involved in how you deal with it. So there's some simple ways you can do it to categorize it. I find that music reading problems is one of the quickest to diagnose. Students can tell pretty quickly if the problem they're having is they can't physically maybe play that fast semiquaver run, or whether actually they're just not reading those notes or difficult rhythms fast enough, and their brain's not processing that reading that they're doing fast enough that they can actually execute the technique on the instrument. So that's sort of a quick one that a lot of students will find very easily on their own, and that is actually solved with work away from the instrument. Spending time reinforcing your understanding of notation, clapping rhythms, sizzling rhythms, that's kind of for whatever the rhythm is. That's a great one. You've probably done that with a band conductor in a band rehearsal before. But very straightforward solutions to non-saxophone related problems. It's a separate issue. For the other 3, I find that students sometimes can't tell if air and embouchure problems apart. And look, I might do a few more episodes unpacking each of the 4 of these, because I think it's a really, really important topic. But the simplest way I can explain to students to figure out, is it an air problem, you're not using enough air, or is it an embouchure problem and something's not correct in the musculature, is to actually try changing your embouchure. If you find that you go back to your basics, you try correcting your embouchure, you're standing in front of a mirror and doing that perfect embouchure that I've taught you, and you're still having some issues, it's more likely to be air related. If you don't see improvement, then there may actually be an issue with the embouchure that you're creating. And a great thing to do there is actually to take some videos and do some recordings that you can bring to your lesson the next time. And then thirdly, Or finally, I should say, posture is related to the position of the body, and this is a really overlooked one by students. This can be things as simple as your fingers flying too far away from the keys when you're playing. But it could also be the way you're standing. Maybe there's a balance issue. It could be whether you're leaning too far forward, too far back. Is your chin too high or low? All of these different physical gestures make a pretty big impact on our playing, more so than a lot of students realize. So it can be sort of the forgotten one, the silent problem that is really easily fixed with some practice in front of a mirror. Alrighty, so I definitely think I'm going to have to do some more episodes breaking down some more specific and more detailed strategies that you can use with those 4 key areas. But what I do want you to do after today is to go and practice and see if you can categorize some of the problems you're experiencing into those 4 areas so you're ready to go when I've got the strategies for you. Until next time, this has been Sax Bites, the 5-minute saxophone lesson podcast. Bye-bye.